So this is the last part of the video. There was one functional part of the tower that I forgot to discuss, and then of course the rest of this video is primarily about this server. So if you're not interested in those details, just to get to the one quick part, I mentioned that I have an elevator. So in vanilla 7 Days to Die, you can build a sort of a functional elevator. There are mods that do this much more elegantly, make it look like an actual elevator. You get to stop at whatever floor you want. But there are no mods on this server except for some that I'll discuss momentarily that don't actually make it a modded server. So in vanilla 7 Days to Die, you can create a quick way to get up a very long distance by using hatch covers. They can be any kind of hatch cover. They don't have to be vault hatch covers. I just use those for the aesthetics. But they could be the simple, cheap wooden hatches if you want. You build a column of them, one on top of the other, and they have to all be closed. And then at the very bottom, you open that one and you step inside, and you can get a elevator effect of it. Now I have a concrete plate down there that's painted, so it raises you slightly above the floor level. I don't remember if that's absolutely necessary to make this function or not, but there it is. You step inside here. Once you're inside, you want to try to remain still. Don't crouch, be standing. Don't be messing around with your inventory, switching things around, because about one out of every, 150, 200 trips, it will glitch, in which case you either have to manually start opening hatch covers to get out, which is very laborious, or you have to use some other means, whether there's a teleport function on your server or whatever. On this one there's the Z-gate system, but on your server, if you don't have that, it could be very troublesome to get out. But here, so this is how it works. I'm going to go ahead and close this, and you're going to see basically what it's doing is glitching you from one hatch cover to the next, all the way up to the top of the column of hatch covers, and then you find yourself, in my case, right at the ground level of the tower. So it is a quick way to get up. Combined with obviously using the hay bale at the bottom of the stairs and the quick way to get down, it is a quick way to get up and down the majority of this tower. And that pretty much ends the functional discussion of the tower. You can see off in the distance there the tree farm if you're interested. I'm not going to run all the way over there just so you can look at a tree farm, but I did mention that earlier. Do remember that if you build a drop ladder, that one thing you have to do is make sure the very last bottom level of the ladder is missing, because if not, for some reason, I guess because the ladder projects out into that space, when you fall to the ground, instead of landing on the hay bale, I guess it detects a collision with the bottom rung of the ladder instead. Turn this off so you can see it better. So you just make sure that your ladder doesn't exist there. Now that means the only way to climb up the ladder is you have to kind of come over here and do a little jump, and then you catch on the ladder, and then you can go up and down if you want. But remember, if you do use this to get rid of that bottom rung. So I mentioned I was going to tell you a little bit about this server, which is what the rest of this part of the video is about. I play on the All Night Gamers server. They have two of them. They have one named Jericho and one named Zootopia. I'm playing on Jericho. They're both PvE, which means no player versus player. So there are settings that pretty much prevent most of that. You can't actually directly shoot, hit, damage another player directly. There are still ways to indirectly damage other players, but those are prohibited by the rules. And there are active admins on this server that do enforce those rules. So the intent obviously is to create a player versus environment setting, not player versus player, which is how you end up getting massive constructions like this one. And there are many others on this server that are worth your time to take a look at. Once you have a PvP setting, anybody who is bored and doesn't have anything better to do will eventually show up to destroy whatever you've built. So that is why this is a PvE server. A couple other things to know about it. So the land claim blocks are active on this server, and they do completely prevent any damage by any other player that is not on your friends list. So no other random player can come up. The radius from the block is 20, so for basically 20 in every direction from the land claim block, and you can create as many land claim blocks as you want. No one can damage anything that you have placed. They can't pick up anything that you've placed, with the exception of crops, which right now is glitched. And so that's how the mechanic works to prevent people from griefing other people's bases, but people do find ways around it. So that's what the admins do. They enforce the extended rules, which are that if any part of the base is protected by a land claim base, then the rules say you're not supposed to take anything from that base at all or damage it in any way. So the land claim blocks do expire, and that's to prevent players from building something and then quitting and never coming back for week after week after week. So the land claim blocks expire after 1 week. If you come across a base where the blocks are expired, just be careful. If you check all of the base and nothing is protected, you are free to loot, damage, destroy, do whatever you want to do to that base. But otherwise, you have to leave it alone. You are not able to indirectly damage players. Well, not rules. You're not allowed to indirectly damage players either. A couple of other rules. The biggest one I can think of is that there are no mini bikes on this server, because mini bikes are glitchy. They'll drop you through the world, but more importantly, the server is trying desperately to draw the map around you as you buzz along on your mini bike, which means it's taking resources that it would otherwise give to other players who are doing their thing, which translates to lag. And the more players using a mini bike, the worse it gets. Remember that the architecture of 7 Days to Die, I believe, was optimized for 8 players, I want to say. This is a 50-player server, so you can imagine if you had, say, 5 or 6 guys buzzing around on mini bikes all at the same time, the server would choke and die. So mini bikes are not allowed on the server. It will actually auto-kick you if you pick up certain mini bike parts. It gives you a little bit of a timer and a warning, but essentially no mini bikes. And the replacement for that is the Z-Gate add-on, or the Z-Coin add-on, however you want to call it. And what that does is keeps track of your kills in the game, and for every zombie you kill, you get a certain percentage of a Z-Coin, and over time, of course, that adds up. But you also get a very small amount of Z-Coins that just come your way over time. You can use those Z-Gates to use the travel system. So the way that works is you can set a home location, costs you 1 Z-Coin. Home location can be anywhere on the map, and you can move it at will. Doesn't have to be near your bedroll, doesn't have to be in your base. You're not supposed to put it inside some other player's base that's not your friend, but nevertheless, the point is you can put it anywhere you want, and then you can use the home command for also 1 Z-Coin and transport back to that location every 30 minutes from anywhere on the map. You can also create up to 2 Z-Gates per player. They are default private, but you can set them to public. And you can transport yourself to either of those Z-Gates or any other public Z-Gate for 5 Z-Coins. And you can do that also once every 30 minutes. It's a separate timer than the home command. So by that means you can get to and from a favorite location very quickly, much quicker than you could even do it on a mini bike. And by using the public Z-Gates, you can get to any other gate that any other player has set as well. And you can even get rid of the timer if you choose to donate to the server. And at the highest levels of donation, you not only get a bonus to how often or how quickly you earn Z-Coins, but as well, you no longer have the timer. It keeps you from Z-gating as often as you like. So no timer is a good thing. Z-gate as many times as you want, as long as you've got the coins to do it. So that's all I have to say about the server. I'll just really quickly show you here. This will be the server list. I have it favorited, the 2 All Night Gamers servers. So this is what the server looks like. The server name, All Night Gamers Jericho. It's usually one of the higher population servers. Not the highest, but if you do a sort by population, they'll almost always appear somewhere near the top of the list, and occasionally they are the top of the list. They are maximum player 55. Settings are that there are feral zombies. Zombies are set to difficulty of 5. They are set to walking during the day and running during the night. And as a matter of fact, if I click on the server here, you can see some of the server details as far as what the setting is like. So if you're interested in seeing this tower or any of the other magnificent constructions on this server, there's quite a few of them, including a glass maze.